the bold and the beautiful spoilers. Team Electra or Team Dylan? Whose side are you on? The bold and the beautiful spoilers are stirring up serious debate among fans as one of the show's most uncomfortable and emotionally layered conflicts takes center stage. The escalating drama between Electra Forrester and Melissa Dylan. Dylan has officially crossed into messy, morally gray territory, and there's no easy answer when it comes to choosing sides. This isn't a classic soap opera villain versus hero scenario. Instead, it's a collision of insecurity, blurred boundaries, unresolved trauma, and poor communication, where nearly every character involved has a valid point and a glaring flaw. So the question stands, are you Team Electra or Team Dylan? Let's break down the situation from every angle and examine why this storyline has become one of the most divisive plots currently unfolding in Los Angeles. A friendship turned fault line. At the heart of this conflict is Electra Forrester, portrayed as someone who values loyalty, structure, and emotional safety, sometimes to fault. When Ivy Forrester raised alarms about Dylan's behavior around Spencer, Electra didn't hesitate to believe her. That choice alone set off a chain reaction that may permanently fracture multiple relationships. Electra Forrester was quick to align herself with Ivy's interpretation of events, framing Dylan as a potential threat rather than a struggling friend. Instead of slowing down, listening carefully, and allowing all sides to be heard, Electra escalated immediately, confronting Will and issuing an ultimatum that felt more punitive than protective. From Electra's perspective, her reaction makes emotional sense. Trust is everything in a relationship, and she felt blindsided not only by Dylan's behavior, but by Will's unwillingness to draw firm boundaries. Still, the speed and severity of Electra's response left little room for nuance, compassion, or compromise. Her demand wasn't just about changing behavior, it was about removing Dylan entirely, even if that meant forcing her back into homelessness. That's where many viewers began to struggle with Electra's stance: control or self-preservation. Electra's growing list of rules and conditions has sparked backlash among fans who feel she's leaning into control rather than communication. Her insecurity, while understandable, often manifests as rigidity, rules instead of trust, ultimatums instead of dialogue. The most glaring contradiction is this: if Electra truly believed Dylan was capable of crossing serious boundaries, why did she allow the friendship to continue in the first place? Why did she tolerate Dylan living on Will's property if her trust was already compromised? That inconsistency weakens Electra's moral high ground. It suggests that her anger isn't just about Dylan's actions, but about Electra's own fear of losing emotional control in her relationship. Electra isn't wrong to want respect, boundaries, and reassurance, but her delivery has made her appear dismissive of Dylan's humanity and struggles. In trying to protect herself, she's come across as cold and, at times, cruel. Dylan's boundary issues can't be ignored. Now, let's talk about Dylan. Melissa Dylan is not innocent in this situation, and the show has been careful not to portray her as a victim without agency. Ivy may have exaggerated the nature of Dylan's relationship with Will, but she wasn't entirely wrong to raise concerns. The moment that truly shifted audience perception was the so-called private ballet show. After Hayes Finnegan went to sleep, Dylan had every reason to remove herself from the situation. Instead, she lingered, and not innocently. Sharing intimate, emotionally charged moments with someone else's partner is a boundary violation, even if no physical affair occurs. Dylan may not have intended to seduce Will, but intent doesn't erase impact. Her behavior blurred lines that should have remained crystal clear. Babysitting together? Fine. Offering emotional support? Understandable. But performing an intimate dance and fostering closeness late at night crossed into uncomfortable territory, especially given Dylan's vulnerability and Will's conflicted loyalty. Dylan's actions fed into Electra's fears, even if they didn't justify Electra's harshest demands. Survival mode versus accountability. One of the most compelling aspects of Dylan's arc is her desperation. She's not scheming or manipulative. she's surviving. Dylan has been living on the edge, trying to piece her life back together after repeated setbacks. Stability, even temporary, has become her lifeline. That context makes her behavior more understandable, but not excusable. Dylan leans on Will not because she wants to steal him, but because he represents safety, consistency, and compassion, things she currently lacks. Unfortunately, emotional dependence can be just as damaging as romantic intent. This is where the show excels. It forces viewers to sit with discomfort. Dylan isn't malicious, but she is careless. She doesn't want to hurt Electra, but she hasn't prioritized Electra's feelings either. And that's a problem. Will Spencer, the emotional middleman. If there's one character who has enabled this situation to spiral, it's Will Spencer. Will Spencer has positioned himself as the moral mediator, insisting he's simply trying to help a friend in need. On paper, that sounds noble. In practice, it's reckless. Will refuses to acknowledge that allowing Dylan to live on his property, especially without Electra's full comfort, creates emotional chaos. He minimizes the optics, downplays Electra's concerns, and frames the situation as binary: help Dylan or abandon her entirely. That false dichotomy is where Will loses credibility. There are alternatives, there are resources, there are compromises. Yet Will clings to the idea that keeping Dylan close is the only way to ensure her safety. In doing so, he sacrifices transparency and fuels resentment. The Bill Spencer solution that no one takes. Perhaps the most frustrating element of the storyline is how easily it could be de-escalated, if only someone would make the obvious call. Bill Spencer, also known as Dollar Bill, has never hesitated to throw money at a problem, especially when family is involved. This is the same man who recently gifted Katie Logan Spencer an entire fashion house without blinking, a short-term apartment, a hotel suite, a rental property. Any of these options would give Dylan stability without forcing Electra into an emotional standoff. Yet, Will dismisses this solution entirely, insisting that Dylan staying on his property is the only viable path forward. Whether that's stubbornness, guilt, or subconscious attachment remains unclear, but it's undeniably a choice. And it's a choice that's costing him his relationship. Electra's line in the sand. Electra has made her position crystal clear. As long as Dylan remains in Will's guest room, the romantic relationship is over. From a storytelling perspective, this is a powerful move. Electra isn't begging. She isn't compromising her boundaries. She's choosing herself, even if that choice makes her look unyielding. But the cost is steep. Electra risks isolating herself, alienating Will, and hardening into someone who values control over connection. Whether she's justified or not, the emotional fallout will be significant. So, Team Electra or Team Dylan? The truth is, this storyline resists simple answers. Electra is right to demand respect, transparency, and boundaries, but wrong to dismiss Dylan's desperation so harshly.